think I'm weird.
Carrie, favorite poem? Did you bring one?
I don't want to be. I want to be normal.
Wipe that smile off your face.
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. I am Christy, this is Alonzo, just the two of us today. We're gonna move shit with our mind and set it on fire in our review of Carrie. This is the remake of, well, I guess they're saying it's based on the Stephen King book, but it's a remake of the De Palma film.
Pretty much, yeah. In fact, the Lawrence D. Cohen who wrote the De Palma version gets a co-screenwriter credit with Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who, but he worked on Big Love and he's written for Glee, and I think he's doing that Archie Comics zombie thing that's out right now.
Okay.
But yeah, you could pretty much, if you were trying to do a blind taste test between the two screenplays, apart from some references to YouTube and homeschooling, this is pretty much the same movie. Check it out.
It's not even in the Bible. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Go to your closet and pray.
No. No! Mama!
You pray, little girl. You pray for forgiveness.
Yeah, there's also a Tim Tebow joke in there,
Oh,
and
right.
there is texting. But yes, there's an important plot point where in the tampon throwing scene, they don't just ridicule her.
They tape it on their phones.
They shoot it on their iPhone and they post it on YouTube.
Yes.
So this is the same movie in a lot of ways, for better or for worse. It's really, really safe and faithful to the original, and then it just goes batshit at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's not that this movie does anything wrong as much as does it need to exist. You know, I don't feel like it departs enough from the material. I don't feel like Kimberly Pierce brought enough to it. I thought, okay, well, all right, interesting woman director, very much kind of like a queer feminist director. Maybe she'll have some sort of take on the gender issues or something, because, you know, certainly there are people that accuse De Palma of being kind of misogynist,
yeah.
but not really that I could tell. I mean, the big difference for me, I think, was that Chloe Grace Moretz as Carrie kind of revels in the fact that she discovers her telekinetic powers, whereas Sissy Spacek always seemed more kind of put off by them.
She was kind of horrified by her own power.
Yeah,
right.
like she seems to dig it and kind of is practicing, and, you know, it's almost like she's a one-man X-Men. You know, she's kind of developing her skills.
I was going to ask you that. I was actually pondering this morning while I was putting on makeup and getting ready to come here, because I know that at Outfest you guys honored Kimberly Pierce this year, and I was thinking about, does she bring any different sensibility to it as a queer filmmaker? Does she possibly understand, like, the ostracization of being different somehow?
I mean,
and I don't know that she does.
Not that it in a way that really, I think, manifests in the film. I mean, I think that the novel and the De Palma version very much speak to queer audiences because of that whole notion of being an outsider and you know,
being
maybe
bullied.
Yeah, exactly, being bullied, maybe even having, like, dealing with a crazy religious parents in some cases. You know, when I wrote about Carrie for my book, 101 Must-See Movies for Gay Men, I pointed out that a lot of us made that trip to the library, but, you know, it wasn't telekinesis we were looking up in the card catalog. So I think, if anything, I think the existence of this movie sort of cements this story as this kind of like archetypal mythos that we're just going to tell over and over again. It's going to be like A Christmas Carol or the Passion Play. I think there's going to be more versions of Carrie as we get older, and, you know, within our lifetime, someone's going to do it again. I think because the beats, we know every single one of them. We know she's going to get her period. We know she's, you know,
locked in her prayer closet.
She's going to get locked in the closet. She's going to discover her powers. That she's going to make the kid on the bike fall over. You know, the prom date and the pig's blood, and that. Like, we know all the steps. So I think it's become this sort of universal myth. That said, this movie is not different enough from the previous versions to really pop on its own, and so I don't know quite why it exists, frankly.
Well, it introduces the story to a whole new generation, right?
Sure. And
that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's still harrowing in a lot of ways, but what it gets right, that the first one got right too. And I felt so sad in it the way I felt the first time too, because she's like this wounded animal.
Sure.
Right? Before she realizes she has her powers, she's this wounded, scared little creature. And even when she allows herself a smidgen of happiness, makes herself vulnerable to these people in the slightest way,
it all comes crashing down.
You know what's coming. You know what literally comes crashing down on her, and that is what is so heartbreaking.
Right. Although
and it works both ways in both films.
I mean, not to get into spoilers, this movie does allow for how do I even say this without saying it? There's a sense.
The ending?
Yeah, the ending and the prom scene both. I think there's a sense of sort of almost nihilistic injustice in the original one, where this one's a little softer. But that's all I'll say about it.
Because she gets more of a nutty revenge?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want people to complain about it.
It is bigger, though. It is a bigger, screechier crescendo.
And her powers are bigger. I mean, she can stamp her foot and cause a crevice, you know, so that's...
In a street.
In a street, yeah.
As a car is going down.
It's pretty amazing. But, you know, I like Chloe Grace Moretz a lot. I mean, I don't buy her as the wounded bird as much as Sissy Spacek, but she's still terrific. Julianne Moore, not quite a patch on Piper Laurie. I mean, that's such a incredible performance, and I don't think she has the force of will to kind of to make her as horrifying, or to sort of represent that kind of almost crazy religious ecstasy that Piper Laurie would have at certain points. It made her all the scarier.
I think they were both creepier in the original, but perhaps because there was novelty to it then. Like if this were the only Carrie that existed, and we didn't have the comparison to make, I think they would seem more than sufficient to us. I do question the casting of Chloe Grace Moretz, though, because it's really hard to make her look dumpy.
Yes,
because she's a beautiful girl.
Although I'll say after this and Kick-Ass 2, I wish somebody would write her a Heathers or a Mean Girls, because I think she does these are the closest she's come to kind of high school movies at this point, and she does them really well. And I think it would be fun to see her kind of play against type and do something with that.
She has an edge to her.
I will say that the other kids are kind of forgettable. I mean, you watch that original movie, and 1976 audiences were, generally speaking, seeing Amy Irving and John Travolta and William Catt and PJ Soles and Nancy Allen for the first time, and they really register. And these guys all look like, I could not pick them out of a lineup. They all look like they could be on some CW show.
I mean, yeah, the blonde girl, the one girl playing Sue, is like strikingly beautiful, could be an Abercrombie & Fitch model or whatever, yes. But they do what they have to do in service of the story. And
no, they're fine. I'm just saying they don't, you know, in my review I actually cite, you know, Sunset Boulevard. They had faces then, you know, because these kids, I got nothing, you know.
They had blonde, good-looking faces, bland, good-looking faces.
Yes, although Dave pointed out that Portia Doubleday was pretty good as the villainess, as Chris, because she has resting bitch face.
Wait, how do you do that?
Resting bitch face is where even in repose it's like...
And her name is Portia Doubleday.
That's
so
true.
She has to play somebody. Okay, so what's your number, please?
I'd give it a straight up 5, kind of going down the middle. It is well done for what it is. I don't know that it needed to be made at all.
I did a little better than you did. I give it a 6. Our average is 5.5. There is no tomato meter score yet, because they just showed it to us last night.
Yes.
And there's an alleged embargo. I don't know why they didn't have faith in this. It's not like it's terrible.
No, it's not terrible. And believe me, in the scope of classic horror movies being remade in the last 5 or 10 years, it's a really good one. But anyway, so by the time this goes up, there will be a tomato meter, so go check it out.
Bye.